That's the mother lode right there. Now what Jeremy and I have found down here in this old rotten log is really a huge deposit of punk wood. You know, this is punky, but it's not optimal because...
What about this one down by your foot?
Let's see it. I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, look at how dry that is right there.
Man, now this is what I call ready for prime time punk wood.
Let's show them the difference.
All right. Hi, and thanks for joining us on Away From It All TV. I'm Roland.
And I'm Jeremy. You know, a lot of people are getting outside. The winter's gone, the summer's here. People are fishing, they're kayaking, they're boating in general, they're camping, they're hiking.
And you know, a fun trip in the outdoors can suddenly transform itself into a survival situation in just a minute. And many people who do find themselves in survival situations, the ones who don't survive, most of the time, if you read the surveys and read the articles on it, exposure is involved in it, and many times hypothermia is involved in it. You know, years ago there were some soldiers down in South Georgia, in the summertime. And if you've ever been in South Georgia in the summertime, it's like super hot, like right beside Florida hot, you know. But these soldiers were walking through a swamp with their rifles over their head for hours, and their body temperature in that water got lowered, and they couldn't get it back up, and 4 soldiers died from hypothermia in South Georgia in the middle of the day, in the middle of the summer. It was unbelievable, and that's why we talk about fire being so critically important to understand.
Well, you know, we used to live up in the mountains at around 8,000 feet of elevation, and in the prime hot of summer, we would still have to have a fire at night to stay warm.
That's right.
Not only is fire great for keeping you warm, but it's also great for sterilization. If you have splinters and you need to sterilize your knife or a needle that you may have, if you need to boil water, sterilize that water, cooking food. You can use fire to burn yourself some implements, some bowls. You can use fire for almost anything.
That's right. It's also good for camp morale. It's just nice to sit around a fire, you know.
And it's great entertainment. I love looking at it.
I do too. It's amazing. Anytime you build a fire, people are just going to come and stare at it. It was the ancient cell phone.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Not only that, if you use it the right way, you can actually use it in a smudge pot and burning certain kinds of material to keep bugs and mosquitoes at bay.
Yep.
Jeremy and I have come to believe over years of being outdoors, survival skills, hunting, fishing, bushcraft, all the things that we've done for so many decades, we have come to believe that charred material is one of the most important things that you can have on your person in the outdoors. And the reason is, it's so easy to use, it's so easy to ignite into an ember and use to make fire.
If you have char material, and you have even marginal bird's nest and marginal material to use with that char, you're still going to get a fire.
Yes, you are. And even if you have marginal fire-making implements, if you found an empty old lighter in the woods, and it would still make a little spark, with some charred material, you could get a fire. You could get a fire.
Now, the quick and simple explanation of char material is this. You take raw material, and we'll cover some of those, and then you put them in a tin, put that in the fire, and then once you're done, you'll have charred material. All you need to get a fire with charred material is to apply heat to the material, i.e. magnifying glass, ferro rod, flint and steel, 2 rocks slamming together, and as long as you get that spark or that heat on this piece of char material, you'll be able to place that in a bird's nest. And once you place that in the bird's nest, all you have to do then is blow the charred material inside of the bird's nest to blow the bird's nest into flame. And even if this bird's nest is damp or marginal, it will still heat up that material that you've created your bird's nest with, and then it'll eventually blow it into flame. So it's really almost foolproof.
Jeremy and I highly recommend everyone in the outdoors consider making charred material a part of your gear kit. No matter where you go or what you're doing, have some char material with you. And we have what we call the ABCDs of fire. Assemble your material, build your fire. On your first fire, if you don't have char material, char something and then dry something. Get you a bird nest made, and if it's soaking wet, use the first fire you made to dry the bird nest and then put it in a protected area where it won't keep getting wet, and always be thinking about the next fire.
Some of the most common things being used as char is old t-shirts, bandanas, anything that's 100% cotton will work. And one of the ways to prep it is to take some cotton like this, use your knife or scissors or whatever you have with you, and cut it into little squares like this.
Something else to consider is this: cotton is a limited resource. I mean, how much of your t-shirt do you want to sacrifice and cut off the bottom of to make fire? So you need to learn how to use landscape materials, as we showed you at that old rotten log in the woods down there. We harvested this punk wood and this punk wood from that rotten log. And there's a difference between these two, and I want to show you this. It's very important. This punk wood seems like it would work, and for a ferrocerium rod it will, but it's a little bit firmer, it's a little bit crisper than the punk wood that you really want. It's what I call not quite ready for prime time. It will work with a ferro rod or a magnification device, but this is the stuff you really want. It's spongy. I mean, I can just squeeze that, look at that, like a sponge. It's very light. It's almost got, it's almost like colony wood. It's got bug traces all through it. It crumbles up into nothing. It's almost as light as air. This is Primo, and flint and steel will love this. This will take a spark from a flint immediately and go into an ember and give you a great long burning ember that you can ignite almost any bird nest into fire.
Yeah, one of the main things I look for is its crumbleability, is what I like to call it.
Crumbleability, that's
if
a great
it crumbles like that
and just floats in the air, it's so light and dry, yeah, that's Primo. That's the stuff you want.
Now, punkwood is one of my favorite things, if not my favorite thing to char personally. However, there are some other things to char as well, like cedar bark and tulip poplar bark. And what I've done is broken these down into the fine fibrous portions of the bark, and I've just rolled them tightly in little balls. And once that's been charred, that'll make a pretty large ember.
It's going to make a great ember, take a spark just like that. Anytime you char your material, when you get done, you need to take a good representation of it, and you need to test it. Preferably, my preference is to check my char material, the validity and the veracity of it, to verify char material with a flint and steel. Because you know most anything is going to catch with a ferro rod, and you can do miracles with a magnification device, but a flint and steel is going to be your lowest spark, your lowest probability of sparking this into flame, and that's the best way to check and see if you have viable char.
Now, what we're going to be using today to char material with are going to be a variety of metal containers. I have two Altoid tins here, one regular and one small. Now keep in mind, Altoid tins are hinged. Now these hinges provide holes for us so that the gases can escape while we're charring this.
But my devices, which is a cookie tin here, does not have a hinge, so I had to put a hole in the lid on this one. And this is an old tea tin, and there's an inner lid that I drilled a hole in right there, and you can use that to char material as well.
No matter what device you use, you need to provide a vent for the gases to escape.
That's right.
All right, I'm going to take these two ember balls, one made of cedar bark and one made of tulip poplar bark, and I'm going to place them in my small Altoids tin.
And I'm going to take this Primo punk wood, and I'm going to break it up into pretty good sized pieces.
All right, now I'm going to take the t-shirt material that I cut up, and I'm going to place that in my larger tin. Make sure you fold all the corners in so the tin will close all the way. There you have it.
And I'm going to take this not quite ready for prime time punk wood, just by way of demonstration, to show you, I think I'll be right in saying this, that it will probably light with a ferrocerium rod, and it will probably light with a magnification device. But I think this punk wood is still a little firm, and I don't think it's going to be quite ready for prime time with a flint and steel. So now we're going to go build a fire and show you exactly how to char this material.
Dad's going to build a quick and dirty fire using flint and steel and some punk wood.
We got us a nice fire going here. What I'm going to do is take these tins of charring material that we have assembled, and I'm going to put them directly in the fire. I already see gas coming out of that hole right there. And I see steam and gas coming out of this hole over here, so it's already cooking. I would like to get one more piece on this side of the fire without sacrificing my knuckles to do it. All right, I'm gonna be happy with that. And in 15 or 20 minutes, we'll come back and check on these guys.
All right, it's been about 20 minutes. I'm going to move all this stuff off, revealing my charring tins. Now it's very important that you don't allow the tins to open, because if they do, oxygen will allow it to just burn up. So you want to make sure they stay closed while they're this hot. And now that I have no hair on my knuckles, we'll let these tins cool down, and you want to wait till they're cool to the touch. Then you know you're safe to open them up. All right, these are cool to the touch, so let's grab these and take them over and see how they turned out.
All right, now we're going to take some flint and steel, a ferro rod, maybe a magnifying glass, and check this char out to see if it's viable. Got a nice piece of flint, a good steel. We're going to check this char. This is the Primo Punk wood. It should be excellent. Yep, already got it started right there. Nice ember.
All right, here's one of the ember balls. There we go.
Now, I wanted to show you this less than prime time punk wood that's here and see if it will work as well. Now, there are a lot of sparks falling on that, and nothing is caught yet. We had one that caught right there, but it went out. I'm throwing a lot of sparks on this, and that's just to demonstrate to you the difference between really perfect punk wood and punk wood that is not perfect. Now let me show you this. I'll put this back in there. I'm going to take this ferro rod. I'm going to hit this a couple of times with ferro rod. Oh, look at there. Immediately it catches, because you've got a 5,000 degree spark as opposed to an 800 degree spark. And some people might ask, there's actually another ember in there too. Some people might ask, well, why would I need to use char material with my ferro rod? Here's why. This ferro rod might last a long time, but if you use char material, notice I only had to hit it once and I've got 2 embers in there. This will extend the life of your ferrocerium rod by exponential time.
Preach it.
So it's important for you to use char material even if you're using a ferrocerium rod, because this thing is not going to last forever. But if you got out in the wilderness and you had to use it, using char material could make the difference between whether it lasted a couple of years or whether it lasted 15 years. And it could make that big of a difference.
All right, now we want to show you just how well magnification works on char material. Well, I have a piece of char cloth here, and I have a magnifying glass. Magnification on char material takes like 2 seconds. You see that?
Well, we hope you've enjoyed our discussion and demonstration of char, how to make it, what to do with it, because we believe that char material is probably the most important key ingredient to add to your fire making kit, so that it will give you a variety of methodologies with which to make fire.
It really is amazing stuff. I mean, you can take a ferro rod and do a lot with it, all kinds of stuff with it, and ferro rods are great, and I prefer a ferro rod over charred material. But if something happens to that ferro rod and you have charred material, you still have fire making capabilities.
And it can be used in so many different applications. You can take a spark from a ferro rod, a flint and steel, solar magnification.
Two rocks together.
Even an empty cigarette lighter could be used to throw a spark on a piece of char cloth, and you've got an ember you can add to a bird nest, and wham, you've got fire. It literally could save your life. And talking about ferro rods, char material could be the best friend of a ferro rod because it could extend the life of this thing for years.
That's right.
We hope you've enjoyed this bushcraft segment on Away From It All TV. Thanks for joining us.
Click the like button, it really helps us out a lot. Share the video.
We hope you'll subscribe to our channel, and we really appreciate the views. Hey, get out there. Take somebody with you. Get away from it all.
Where dreams are restored in the great outdoors.